Text standard. So for text, you want to know the table, but it can be very confusing at times. So this is how we did the text before. So the height of the text will depend on the scale. That's why you place text at the very end. And if you need to change it, then you need to use the scale factors for it. So it becomes very confusing. I really like it when AutoCAD started with introducing the annotative style for creating text. What that does is that each of the text will always be updated to the height that you specify to show, like for example, 1/16 of an inch at any scale. So it could be 1/32 is to 1 foot, and it will still print at 1/16 of an inch, or 1/8, or 1/4, or 1/2 for imperial. And then 2 millimeters, 3 millimeter, 6 or 12 millimeters for any of the scale. Remember, any scale. Before, if you're going to plot at 1 to 100, then your text height should be 200 millimeter, right? And if you're going to print that same text at 1 to 500, it has to be, the text height should be 1000 millimeters. Now, because of the annotative style, we can forget about all the rest. Just look at or remember the full scale height of the text for small, medium, or for small title or large titles. Okay, so how does that work? Let's go back to AutoCAD. And the first thing that you want to do is type ST. That's the shortcut for text styles or style. And then you create by saying new, right? You click new and you name this. I named this Sheridan text. And then Sheridan text could be Arial. I like Arial, Simplex, or City Blueprint. Try to be to have a uniform font style for your drawings. So for standards, use the same one. You don't want to be choosing different font styles. Okay, and then the magic, right? Annotative. Click that, and that will make your text always the height that you assigned it to have, right? And then the paper text height here, leave it at 0, so that each time you create a text, you can assign the text height. If you place here a text height of 3 millimeters, all your text will be 3 millimeters. If you're going to do a 6 millimeter text, then you need to create another text style. So in my case, I just want it at 0. And then for the width factor, change it to 0.85 so that the text appears taller. If this is set at 1, that's how it will look like. So I think 0.85 looks nice. Okay. And then click set current or apply if it's the first time you're doing it, and then close. So to add a text, type T, okay, and then create a box. Now this will appear. Make sure Sheridan is selected. So these are the text styles that I have. So I'll select Sheridan. And then, like I said, you can change the text height. So let's make this, let's say 6 millimeters. Okay, there you go. Don't worry if the text height became bigger. And then type, let's say, uh, Sheridan. Okay, and then close text editor or click outside. So close, and then change this to a particular height, scale. So 1 to 100, let's say, and then say Z space bar to start the zoom command, E space bar to zoom to the extent. Now, sometimes if these are not turned on, you won't see the text. So let's say at 1 to 40, yeah, you wonder what happened to my text. Even if I say Z, enter, E, enter, it's not there. Well, it's not visible at a certain scale. So if I place 1 to 100 and then Z spacebar E spacebar, since we created this using that scale, it shows. So in this case, just simply turn this to buttons on if you're missing your text. Now, this text was created at at the height of 600. So at scale 1 to 100, okay, DI, if I measure this, this is around 600 something, right? 600 something. Now, if we go to our text box, right, 6 millimeter at 1 to 100 should be created at 600 millimeter. Okay, so that's 600, right? If I am more accurate, let's say I'll create a line here and then offset this by 600, right? So that's about 600. Okay, looks like it's a little bit bigger. Not sure why, but let's see. Let's move this a little bit and see. Yeah, somehow it's a little bit bigger, maybe because it's a capital letter or because of the thickness also of the lettering, right? Remember, this is Arial, so there's it also uh, it's going beyond the 6 millimeter height. I think it's at maybe at the center. Let's change that to, instead of Arial, let's change this to simplex, right? So S, so I like simplex, and click apply and close. There you go. There's your 6 millimeter, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's just because of the thickness of the letters. So that's 6 millimeters. Now, so what if I change this to 1 to 50? What happened? Well, remember at 150, 1 to 50, my height for the text, which I created at 6 millimeters, this one here, will be 300 mm. So what did AutoCAD do? Well, it made it 300 in height, right? So again, if I offset this by 300, that's the height of the text. So it's changing it based on the scale, adhering to the sizes that we have. So that's what Annotative does. Otherwise, if you don't have Annotative on, you have to keep changing the height, or you use a scale factor of 50 to change that. Now, let's demonstrate that also in the Layout tab. So in the Layout tab, you have this in full scale, right? So this will be printed at 1 to 1. So I'm going to create a line here. Okay, and then I'm going to offset this by 600. Oops, not 600, sorry, 6 millimeters. That's 600, right? Again, in full scale, this should only be 6 millimeters. So offset by 6. There you go. So offset by 6. Now, if I go to model space and bring this in, notice that that's 6 millimeters at scale 1 to 100. If I change this to scale 1 to 50, notice what happened. It maintained its 6 millimeter height. So it's not, changing it to, well, it is changing it to 600 and 300 based on the table, right, at the specific scale. But more importantly, it's maintaining the 6 millimeter height as you change the scale factor. right? Even at 1 to 30, right? Because if you remember, if you use paper, you want your height, when you're writing your text, you want your height to be the same, 6 millimeter or 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters or whatever height you'd like. And the drawing could be bigger or smaller, it could have a different scale, but the text is always of the same height. So that is the standard for text.